Hi guys. I'm gonna be doing a video for Maths Lit grade 10, 11, and 12. But there are some parts where grade 10 learners will not be eligible to focus on. I'm gonna try to make Maths Lit kind of simple. So if you master this topic, it's gonna be the first topic that I'm going to be doing, and it's called conversion. So conversion is your first topic, and remember, this is a topic whereby you are going to take it to other topics, so they are interrelated. So what do we mean when we say conversion? Is when we change. Now we are changing one unit. It's when we change one unit to another unit. So basically, when we say conversion is when we change a unit to another. So there are types of conversions that we need to focus on. So there are types of conversions that we need to focus on. So the first type of conversion that we are going to be focusing on is the metric system. So the metric system is a system whereby we are only going to focus now on measurements that are measured in kilometers, meters, centimeters, etc. So the second part is the mass system. So the mass system is whereby we are dealing with food, we are dealing with liters and weight, etc., etc. And then the last part is going to be foreign exchange. Sorry guys for that. Foreign exchange. So foreign exchange is when we change one currency to another. So it's when we change money. So these are the types of conversions that we have as Maths Lit students. But now we are going to be mainly focusing on the metric system as a whole. Right now, we are going to focus on the metric system as a whole. So remember now, guys, we are still doing conversion. So we are going to focus on the metric system. So when we say metric, remember we mean measurements. So this is a table that I need you to know whenever we are doing Maths Lit. So you know that it's King Harold died a miserable death called measles. So remember this table, it's grouped from a bigger factor to a smaller factor. Now, there is a rule that Maths Lit students need to be aware of. When we change from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we multiply. And then when we change from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, we divide. So this is the rule that we are going to be dividing on. So practical example, let me give you an example. Let's say they say to you, convert now 350 centimeters to, let's say, meters as a whole. So the first thing that you are going to look at before answering any question, you are going to look at which one of the two measurements that you are going to meet first from your left-hand side. So this is the left-hand side, this is the right-hand side. So you check which one of the two units of measurements that you are given you are going to meet from your left-hand side. So it's meters that we meet from our left-hand side. We put on 1 and then we put on the zeros until we meet the second unit of measurements. And then from there, we can see we are having 100 as our factor. But now we check the change that is required. We are moving from which unit? We are moving from centimeters to meters. So we are moving from a smaller unit to a bigger unit. What did we say? We said whenever we are moving from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, we divide. So we are going to take this 350 centimeters and then we say divide by the 100. So whenever you divide this by 100, you punch your calculator as it appears, and then you say the answer is 3,5. But now remember, because you divided by the factor there, you are going to change from centimeters to meters. So this is going to be your answer. So let's make another example. So remember, the changes are very important because now when you change from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, you divide. But when you change from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, you multiply. So let me make an example about changing from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. Now, let's say you are given that you must convert, let's say 4 kilometers like that to meters. We are converting 4 kilometers to meters. The biggest thing that you need to do is to check between the two units of measurements that you are given. Which one do you meet from your right, from your left? Sorry, guys, from your left-hand side. So the left-hand side, which one do I meet? I meet my kilometer there. This is my kilometer. And then I put on my zeros until I get to the second unit of measurement. So I put on my zeros until I get to the second unit of measurement. So this is what we must do, guys, as MathsLit students. We must try to always make things simpler. I must try to make things simpler. Remember, we are converting, and I put on my zero, so I know that my 1000 is my factor. But now I must check the movement. It's from kilometers to meters. So I'm moving from this, I'm going that side to meet on what? The meters now. So what did I say? When we are moving from a bigger factor to a smaller unit, we multiply. So we are going to multiply this by 1000. And then from there, we are going to get an answer of 4,000 what? Meters. You change the units of measurement. Surely it makes sense now. Remember, this table is there for you to know which factors to use, which amounts to use, because you cannot use the very same amount. You can see here I divided by 100, not 1,000. It's because of the distance between the factors. Now, let's make another example that people need to be aware of. So remember, we are trying to make everything here simple. So you must remember that MathsLit is a simple subject, but love it, guys. You know, you give it love, you give it everything. So you know, when you love something, you give it your all. That's my strategy on how to pass MathsLit. I give it my all. I try to make things simple. So remember, this factor table is there to help you to understand whatever the conversion factor that you'll be given. Let's say now, another example, you are given, let's say you are given 500 meters like that. And then they say convert these to what we are going to say, convert 500 meters to centimeters. So the first thing that you do now, remember, I said you check between the two units of measurement. Which one do you meet from your left-hand side? This is your left-hand side. So we meet meters first, and then we put on 1, and then we put on zeros until we get to the second unit of measurement, which is centimeter, and then it's 0. We mean our factor is 100. So what do? We also look at the movement. It's from meters to centimeters. So it's from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. And I said, when we are moving from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we multiply. So we are going to say it's 500 and then meters, and then we multiply by 100. So let's make sure we punch our calculators there. Make sure your calculator is on degree mode. We say 500, we multiply it by 100. What are we getting there? We are getting that it's 50,000. It's 50,000. But remember, because you used this factor, it must change to what? To centimeters. This is how we deal with the metric system. Let me give you the last example of the metric system so that we can pass to the other system, guys. So MathsLit is a very simple subject. It only requires us to know which factors are we using. So we are going to erase there. Pardon me. I'm going to erase this part so that we can know what we are talking about. We are talking about, guys, MathsLit is nice. This is the nicest subject ever. So remember, let's say you are given now, they say convert, let's use the very same 50,000 centimeters, and then they say 2 kilometers. Now, it kind of looks tricky, but I always say that you check between which one of these two units of measurements do you meet from your left-hand side. So from my left-hand side, I meet kilometers first. I put on my 1 there, and then I put on my zeros until I get to the second unit of measurement, which is centimeters. So I can see my factor table there gives me a what amount is this? Is 100,000. We can see it's 100,000. So we check the movement. It's from centimeters to kilometers. So it means we are moving from a smaller unit of measurement to a bigger unit of measurement. So what do we do when we move from a smaller unit to a bigger unit? We divide. We said we divide. So we are going to use that factor. It's 50,000 and then centimeters. And then because we are going to divide, we put on our division bar and then we divide by this 100,000. And this gives us 0.5 kilometers. And this is how we convert using this simple conversion table that I have given you there. So I'm done explaining the metric system. So let's move on now. We are going to move on to mass. Guys, these things are very simple. When we speak of mass, this is a language that we all speak at home. We speak this kind of language. When we speak of mass, we are speaking of food, we are speaking of water that we drink, we are speaking of weight. Remember, we have weight. Whenever we are dealing with mass, remember these factors will be given to you in your exam question. That's when we are talking about kgs, we are talking about grams, we are talking about milligrams, etc., etc. And then the other part that we are going to talk about is the liquid part, which is liters, and then we are going to say milliliters, and then remember before liters there are kiloliters, etc., etc. But remember, you'll be given a factor or an equation, I can say a formula to calculate mass. So you must be aware that you'll be given a formula to calculate mass. So now let's get into it now. So remember, they can either give you a formula that says 1 kilogram is equals to 1,000 grams, like this. So now this is gonna be your formula. Remember, when they mark, there are F's there for formula. So this is your formula. This is just 1 mark for just writing this. And then from there, remember, you'll be given these things on your exam questions. So, excuse me. So what do we have? We have the fact that 1 kilogram gives us 1,000 grams. So this is whereby we use the question mark method. This is the question mark method. So pure math student would put on an X there, but to us maths lit student, we use this question mark method. So now let's say they say to you, convert which unit can we use? 550 grams to kilograms. So what do you do there, guys? You first write your formula as given by your question paper. You say 1 kg will give us 1,000 grams. So what do? We put on an equal sign down there, and then we say which units of measurements are we given there? We are given grams. We can't put grams under kilograms. We are going to put grams under grams because these are the same units of measurement. So I'm going to put my 550 grams underneath 1,000 grams, and then I put on my question mark there. So what do? I'm saying that for 1 kg, I'm having 1,000 grams, but for 550 grams, I do not know. That's what we mean by saying the question mark method. And then when it's like this, what do? We cross multiply, and the number facing a question mark, we write a division bar, and then we say the number facing a question mark, it goes down. It means this 1,000, because it's facing the question mark, it goes down. And then what are we left with? We are left with 1 kg and 550. So we are going to put there on the top of the division bar, and then we say multiply by 550 grams. Before going further, we cancel the units of measurements that are the same. And then what are we going to cancel? Grams and grams. Which answer we are left with? We are left with kgs. And then you just punch everything that you see there on your calculator, and then it will give you the answer of, let's say it's 0.55 grams. So we have changed that 550 grams to kilograms. That's what we mean when we say the question mark method. So I'm going to try and make another example. So let me make another example so that we may be familiar with the question mark method. Guys, Maths Lit is simple. Only if we follow the rules. Remember, there are rules, and then the exam questions have rules. So remember, I'm still on the mass where we are saying 1 kg is equals to 1000 grams. Now, guys, I don't need you to cram these things. Sometimes you'll be given that, let's say it's 1 kg is equals to whatever the units of measurements that you are given there. So we need not to cram this whole thing. So we need to be aware. We look at our question papers, we look at the questioning, and then we attempt the question. So you look what you are given and then you do. And then from there it's think and do. So let's do another question. Let's say we are given that we are converting from 5 kilogram to grams. Ne? So we are converting 5 kg to grams. So the first thing that you do, you write that formula that you are given. You write 1 kg is equals to 1000 what? Grams. Remember, this is a question mark method because we are given the units of measurements, which are kgs. We cannot put them under grams. We are going to put them under kgs so that our answer will be simple. And we do not know what this will give us. That's why we say it's the question mark method. And then what do? We cross multiply like that. And then whenever we are cross multiplying, remember the number that is facing the question mark. So this 1 kg is facing the question mark because of the cross multiplication. It goes down to this division bar that we have written there. So it's 1 kg there down. And then what do we have now? We are having 5 kg there. And then we say it's going to multiply this 1000 grams like that. And then we see that kg will cancel kg and we are left with what? With grams. And then 5 times 1000 divided by 1, it's going to be 5000 grams. So this is the mass system that we are talking about. Remember, even when you are given, let's say you are given liters, you don't need to panic because they are going to give you that 1 liter will give you 1000 milliliters. It's the very same thing, guys. You don't change anything. You really do not change anything. Just because the units now have changed does not mean now the strategy to deal with this thing has changed. Because even when we are doing foreign exchange, we are still going to be using the very, very same factor. So let's now speak about liters. Remember, this is when we talk about food, and then this is when we talk about water as a whole. It's not mainly water, but we are talking about drinks. So let's say we are given that you must convert 4.5 liters, let's say, to milliliters. You still use the very same thing, guys, the very same rule that I gave you. You write your formula as given by your question paper. It's 1 liter is equals to 1000 milliliter, like that. This is your formula. You get a mark for writing this thing. And then from there, you check which unit of measurement are you given. You are given liters. You cannot put them under milliliters. You have to put them where they belong, which is under liters. So we are going to say 4.5 liters is equals to the question mark that we do not know. And then we cross multiply. Whenever you have put on your question mark, you must cross multiply. And then when we cross multiply, I put on my division bar there, and then I look at the number that is facing a question mark. It's what? It's this one now. This 1 liter is facing the question mark. It goes down. The number facing a question mark, it goes down. So we are left with what at the top? We are left with 4.5 liters, and then we say multiply what? 1000 milliliters, and then we cancel units of measurements that are the same, which is liters. We'll cancel liters. We are left with what? With milliliters. And then we punch everything that we see on a calculator. Guys, we are not geniuses. We just focus our minds and we channel our minds to everything that we do. So we are going to say 4.5 multiplied by 1000, which will give us 4500 milliliters. So we are done with the metric and the mass system. And then we are going to foreign exchange now. So remember, I must explain foreign exchange as a whole. Foreign exchange. We go to airports sometimes and we We acknowledge people that are coming from other countries. But now remember, when they are coming from other countries, they will not use the currency that they are having. They will have to go into the market and change whatever currency that they are having to our country's currency. So now, what am I speaking of when I'm talking about foreign exchange? Now, the foreign exchange now is when we change one currency to another. So it's nothing difficult. It's just that the mere English, it's when we change one currency to another. Remember, when we speak of currencies, we speak of the type of money that people use in their countries when I explain it in simple English. So remember, we must note the buying power changes depending on the currency. So these are the things that I want you to note when you are doing foreign exchange. The buying power. So you are going to be asked questions about the buying power. So this is the way that you must note. So now, let's say you are given that $1 is equals to, let's say, we don't know now, it's 21 rands, let's say 21 rands 99, like that. Yeah? And then they say, a couple is having 450 rands. Can you convert these to dollars like that? So we need to know how much this person has in dollars. They have 450. We need to know how much they have in dollars. But remember, when they say $1 is equals to 21 rands and 99 cents, they're telling you that this is your formula, guys. There's nothing difficult. If they say convert this, you go back, the first thing you write is your formula. You are still given that 450. Your equation there, your formula, is going to be $1 is equals to 21 rands and 99 cents. And now, what are you given there? You are given rands. Rands is a conversion factor. So you cannot put rands under dollars. We need to put rands under rands. So we are going to say 450 under rands. So we do not know. This is the question mark method again. And then we cross multiply. What is the number that is facing a question mark under the division bar? We put on 21 because it's facing a question mark. 21 rand and 99 cents. And then at the top, we are left with $1 multiplied by 450, like that. You just punch this on a calculator. These rands will cancel these rands, and then we are left with dollars. So it means that we have converted whatever that we needed to convert. So we are going to divide that. And then our answer, remember, because we are talking about money, we need to leave it in 2 decimal places. So it's going to be $20.46, like that. So I'm going to make the last example of the day. Remember, guys, conversion is simple. Once you master conversion, guys, you are done. You are done. Mentally as a whole, you are done. Once you master conversion, you are at the verge of getting a distinction, because this topic now goes hand in hand. It's there in finance. It's there when we are doing shapes. It's there when we are doing BMI for us who are doing grade 12s. So we need to be aware of those things. So let's say they give you another factor. They say, let's say 1 British pounds, like that, is equals to, they give you that fact that it's 24 rands, let's say 50 cents. Remember, you need to look at your exam. It's not, I'm just making an example. And then they give you this like that, and then they say you must convert. And they say, remember, when they say convert, it's not always when they are going to say convert this. They will tell you a scenario. A couple goes wherever they want to go, and then they have this certain amount in British pounds. Let's say they have 4,500 British pounds, like that. And then they say convert, or they say how much do this couple have in rands? They convert this to rands. In other words, they're telling you to convert 4,500 pounds, British pounds, to rands. So what do you do? The first thing that you do, you write your formula. 1 British pound is equals to 24 rands and 50 cents, like that. And then from there, you look at what you are given. You are given British pounds. You cannot put British pounds under rands. These are not the very same factors. So I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to say British pounds, 4,500 like this. And then I do not know what it gives me in rands. So what do? I cross multiply. Remember, the rule of the question mark method says a number that is facing the question mark, it goes down. So which number is that? It's that 1 British pound. 1 British pound. And then we say 4,000 British pounds, 4,500 multiplied by 24 rands. Remember, the units of measurements are important, 50. And then we say we cancel whatever we are seeing that is the same. So BP will cancel that BP. We are having that now. It's 4,500 multiplied by 24 and 50 cents all over 1. So we are having that this person in rands, they have 110,250. So that's it, guys, with conversion. So there's nothing more that we are going to do. So these are the 3 types of conversion that you are going to meet. Remember, you are going to meet your mass system, you are going to meet your metric system, and then you are going to meet on foreign exchange. So on the metric system, remember that table that I've given you there. On the mass system, you remember the question mark method, and the question mark method states that a number that is facing a question mark, like here, this 1 British pound is facing this question mark. We put it under, it goes down. So that we can cancel what we need to cancel and have that rate there that we are having in rands. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. For more information, you are going to contact us on our channel. So please, guys, make sure that you practice. Make sure that you love what you do. Thank you.